everyone. Welcome to Poetry and Perspective with Placide. I am your kind hostess, Cindy Placide. As indicated, I put up a new time for our friends in the UK because I felt that it was necessary because there's so many people all over the world who can benefit from this information that I give here on the show. So I decided, okay, it would be a good idea for me to have um, a show about catered to the people that are in Europe and other places in the GMT time zone. Okay, so guys, with that said, for those of you who do not know me, first of all, I want to apologize for the late start. Everything goes crazy. I was kind of nervous and everything, but you know what? I don't know why I'm nervous, but here, this is Cindy Placid. She's gonna be is okay. Yes, but I do apologize for the lateness. I promise it's not going to happen again. Yes. Okay. So listen, I am a poet, author, advocate, and I am advocating for mental illness, own struggles with mental illness. I advocate for autism because, of course, I am an autism mom, and I advocate for tonothoracic dysplasia because I had a child that was born with a rare form of dwarfism called tonothoracic dysplasia. So I advocate for that and so many other causes, including domestic violence, suicide, and so forth. So many things that I take on. Anybody who wants to have a voice can be on this show. I use this show to promote people, to inspire people to get up there in life. No matter where they are, they can always rise up. That's why my brand is Rise to Prosperity. Oh no, my son, not now. That's why my brand is Rise to Prosperity. And of course, on Poetry and Perspective with Placide. Yes, so I am an author I am from the beautiful Caribbean island of St. Lucia, okay, in the Caribbean. Say, hey, St. Lucia, Saka Passe, okay? And I am, like I said, I'm the author of two poetry books. My first book is entitled When Life Stood in Silence, and that book was born out of grief, loss. And so I had bottled all of my other emotions that I was bottled up. I put them in there, okay, in my book. So I express all my emotions from my loss and everything else in my book. Now, the second book is an uprising from that grief, from that loss, to find myself, find my purpose, find my power, okay? And to be able to inspire and to motivate others. So that second book is called A Mighty Calm. It talks about love, romance. Listen to me, my books always talk about love, okay? But it's to empower people, okay? So this is the second book. And then, of course, there's another book coming soon, maybe two, who knows? Yeah, so this month actually is Autism Awareness Month. Autism Awareness Month. And because of Autism Awareness Month, autism is a widespread special ability. I call it different ability. I have a very special panel from the UK who's going to blow your mind about autism from their perspective in the UK. I know we've done it a lot in the United States, but to be able to reach the people in the UK and to talk about autism. So the name of this segment of my show is called Global Link, okay, where we connect with the world through our common issues. So let me bring my guests in without any further ado. So let me bring my guests in and remove this so I could see all the handsome and beautiful faces. Yay! So we have with us Sini Emmanuel. He is a special education needs coordinator, Senko. We also have Yasewa. Am I saying it right?
And yeah, that's right.
That's right. She's an autism mom, and also she's an executive officer. And also we have, well, the first time I'm meeting him, it's kind of cool though. Mr. Akwesi Ofari. Am I saying it right? And he is a psychologist.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. So welcome to Poetry and Perspective with Placide, guys. It is such an honor to have you guys here. Now listen, I would like you guys to tell, first of all, individually, I'm gonna start with Sini. Just tell us a little bit about your, about the 30 seconds or more, and we're gonna dive into, other things. So Sini, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, good evening, audience. Hello. Well, my name's Sini Emmanuel. I'm based in London, UK. I'm autism specialist. I've been doing autism for a number of years. classed as a tier 2 autism specialist in England. And yeah, lots of experience, lots to tell, lots to talk about as we go through the show. If I can help any of the listeners, please feel free to send a message in the chat or phone up. I will answer as best as I can. So that's for me for the moment. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. What about you, Miss Ya?
Yeah, as you mentioned, my name is Yasewa. I'm executive officer in the civil service, an autistic mom. I came here to learn and also give my experience.
Absolutely. Amazing. And how about you, Mr. Akwesi?
Yeah, so my name is Akwesi Ofori. I'm actually a Ghanaian police officer, inspector with the Ghana Police Service. I am a research assistant with the Trinity Theological Seminary, where I teach a course in pastoral counseling. So my area of emphasis is on psychology of exceptionality as much as addiction. So like Sewa said, we are all here to learn and then make our input as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. So let me start with since I'm an autism, ladies first. So
Come on.
we are autism moms together, okay? And then I know as myself, there are many challenges that we face in raising children with disabilities. Okay? So yeah, I would like to ask you first of all, when did you first notice that your child had some challenges?
Okay. So in the UK, when I don't know if it's still in existence, but when you give birth, they have I think it's a charity called Bounty. So Bounty gives you like some gift and also gives you update about a child's development and all that. So my child started talking. Initially, I was like, this is a sign of intelligence. So you are going to be very intelligent because you're talking early. And then after 2 years, he stopped talking, but it didn't click until I read an email about autism, what do you call it, Bounty, when they sent a message that at this age, the child should be joining 2 sentences. So that really hit me. And I'm like, I think he's not even talking now. So I went to see my GP. My GP told me that he's passed the information on to the right people. And after a year, they came back to tell me that they don't provide that kind of service there. In fact, I was very disappointed. We moved from that area and then came to East London, and I had to start everything all over again. So from that age to 5 years, that's when he was diagnosed. Sorry, I might be a little bit teary because I've gone through a lot with my child. So yeah, so he got diagnosed when he was 5 years. Yeah.
I understand. Listen,
Yeah.
this show is an open forum where you are open to feel how you want and to let out your emotions. It's for people to understand that they are not alone in their struggles, and so it's okay to cry. Me, I boohooed so many times on yeah. So let me ask, Mr. Psychologist, how are you? So my question
Yes, I'm doing so well.
Now that she has already told us what when her child was diagnosed with autism, could you please for the benefit of the viewers, could you please help us understand what are some of the common symptoms and behaviors associated with autism and how they can impact? First of all, what are some of the common symptoms and behaviors associated with autism?
Well, okay, so in psychology, there is a topic we call psychology of exceptionality. And so when we talk about exceptional individuals, we are referring to individuals whose physical, whose mental or behavioral performance deviates. And by this deviation, sometimes we say that the deviation is so substantial from the average person that additional support would be needed to meet the needs of these individuals. So there are some key words that we have to understand. Number one, that there is a deviation. and that number two, that deviation is so substantial that the individual whom we would refer as exceptional individual would require some additional support, some extra effort in carrying out daily activities. So I would not want to mention A or B or C because the symptoms or may differ from one person to another. But like Ia said earlier on, at some point she noticed that the child should be talking, and then her attention was pricked to the fact that something could be wrong. Now, let me even say that some of the causes could be prenatal, that is before birth, perinatal, during birth, or during pregnancy, and then the postnatal. So for some people, it is when the baby, as we may call fetus, is inside the womb. That is where the symptoms will develop. But for some, it is postnatal. And at this point, I want to suspect, okay, I may not have done a test, but I want to suspect that in the case of her dear, yeah, maybe her symptoms could have been postnatal. After the child had been born, a year or two, he started talking. And then at some point, she observed that there was a deviation. So to make it very precise for our viewers, we are saying that there should be a deviation, and that deviation should be substantive enough that additional support will be required. So when you realize that your child is deviation physically, something is not right, psychologically, something is not right, and then you need additional support, then you could be preempt that there could be some kind of exceptionality, or your individual could be exceptional.
Thank you for that. That's like you said, that is true. You see, no child with autism exhibits the same behaviors, or they have the same patterns. You understand? So it's always different. Sini, from your work as a
exactly.
specialist.
So that was the point I was trying to.
Okay. So Sini, as a special needs as a special needs, what are some of the things that you I'm sorry. What are some of the symptoms that you have seen in children with autism in your practice?
Well, it varies because all what people as well need to understand. Over in England, we use the autism spectrum, ASD, autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so that means that the spectrum for having autism is broad. There are a lot of boxes within that somebody could be classed as autistic. Okay, so it could be something as easy as ADHD, attention deficit order. So basically, that's something to do with that young person or somebody finding it difficult just to be still. You know, like you can go into a classroom, you can sit down, or you can go into a conference and sit down comfortably. They find that difficult. Okay, so moving around, paying attention, learning different ways, and all it is, it's ASD is just a problem with social communication, interaction, and it's a bit restricted, or it can be repetitive behaviors or interests. Okay, so that's how we kind of classify it over in England. And it's in terms of the experiences, a lot of my experience has been with young people with complex needs. So when I say complex needs, is that some young people may only have one diagnosis. For example, I'll stick with ADHD, where other young people that I've worked with have had a combination of ADHD, ODD, which is opposition defiance disorder. They've had attachment disorders, as well as global delay. So that's what's made it more complex, is the fact that while you're trying to deal with one part of their autism, the other part is overriding. Yeah. So it's a mixture that I've been having to deal with. So I've seen a lot of things. I've worked with young people who have part of their disorder is to do with such things as smells, touches, materials. So it's been very varied in the young people that I've worked with Yeah, so they're all on the spectrum, but like I said, there are different levels of being on the spectrum.
That is so true. You know, when my son was diagnosed, he was diagnosed as moderate to severe. And like Ya said, you know, I had a child before, and so I knew what development look like, you know, normal development look like. So when my son, and in addition to you know, in agreement to what the psychologist said, um it may be from prenatal or postnatal. Is that correct? So when my son was okay, he came, he was eating by himself, he was saying dada, and all of a sudden he started to regress. He started to regress. And although although they say don't use high functioning, but I would say he's high functioning.
Okay.
Yes, he's high functioning. So let me see. At any time, listen, I don't want this to be like just a pointed. I want at any time you feel out, if you know, yeah, if the psychologist says something that you want to add on, you can jump in. And if Sini, you know, you can jump in, make it a discussion instead of just me asking a question. I don't like that.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Not a
Oh,
problem.
um, so you mentioned that sorry, the second one, I can't remember your name. My memory is so bad.
Sini,
Sini.
Yeah, okay, yes, sorry, Cindy. Yeah, you mentioned that you can have the ADHD with autism.
Yeah,
So when it happens like that, one try to overshadow the other. So
yeah.
in certain cases, what exactly do you have to do as a parent to subsidize the situation?
So what I generally do, so let me explain. Okay, so my job Senko. So I basically work within schools, colleges with young people, and
Mm-hmm,
I go into classes, and I observe and see what strategies can be put in place to help that young person learn, develop, and actively take part in a lesson. So for parents, they're things that I kind of explain to parents. If they don't understand what autism is, I kind of give them a brief introduction, and I try and fill in the blanks, so that at least once I have a conversation with them, they're a lot more understanding of what autism is. Now, as we said, each child is different. Each child's development is different. So how we might work with one child, if one child has just got ADHD, then that's something that you can work with, and you've only got one thing to work on. If there's a number like ADHD, ODD, all of these things, then again, the battle is, as you're trying to work with one,
mm-hmm.
the other challenge jumps in, and that's where you have the problem. Now, how do you deal with both of them? And that's the challenge that myself, other professionals that work within the education system, for example, that's our challenge. Is if this young person finds it difficult to just stay seated, stay still, then what can we do? So then we have to think of strategies or mechanisms, and it could be as simple as a soft cushion that makes their seat more comfortable for them. Yeah, it could be that we give them raises under their legs, like a little kind of platform that they can put their feet on. So
Yeah.
while we're trying to subdue that, we can then look at the ODD, the oppositional defiance disorder. We can then start working with that part of it. So that's what we try and do. You never try and attack all the symptoms at once, because you're not going to succeed. You have to try and work with one. Whatever happens with the other one, that's when you start taking that in hand.
and you are so right, you know, Sini, because my son, he has ADD, he has ADHD, he has autism, and he has something called hyperlexia, which is a higher than normal ability to understand letters and numbers rather than spoken words. And so when I found out that he had the autism, we were dealing with autism, and then all of a sudden he has ADHD. So I had to transition a little bit to try to curb the ADD so that I could also have on the autism under control. I don't know if that makes sense.
But that can be that's part of the challenge, is that you are trying to identify and work with one part of autism, but then the other part of their autism is being masked. So then that's the issue, or that's the hard part, is
So in
trying
other
to
words, they have to, the parent, the educators, and then the special needs specialists, they have to find a balance.
Definitely, because like I say, you can, for example, opposition defiance disorder, that can override, because that is about not taking on not listening to authority, not wanting to take that on. Now that's going to affect their learning, especially if they've got that, but then they're also ADHD, because while they're not trying to take on all these all the things that are being said to them by a teacher or somebody in authority, because they don't want to, you've still got them fidgeting about, jumping about, because of the ADHD as well. So that's, like I said, that is where your battle is trying to work with one, but then you still got to think of the other one as well. So that's the hard part. And like I say, for parents, I think that from my experience, I think that some parents tend to fall into the category of, my child is autistic, so I'm going to treat them as being autistic, where I'm a believer in that you need to treat them like every other child. Yes,
like a normal child.
Yeah, they have autistic needs. You bearing that in mind, but they are still capable of achieving and doing the same as any other child. And I think that is where, for me, that can be a little battle that I have when I speak to some parents, because they want to mollycoddle their child because they hear the word autism, and it's nothing to be scared of. As long as you understand it, it is nothing to be scared of. You don't have to start wrapping your child up in the cotton wool. Let them experience life. Let them get to learn life.
True. And I'm going to add to that, but after I do add to that, I'm going to hear from, you had something to say? Yeah.
I was gonna say that I think sometimes it's not the parent, because when the child gets diagnosed, you get this advice from the doctors that, "I'll be gentle on them, be doing this, be doing that." So as a parent, you are thinking that, okay, my child is different from, I wouldn't say normal, because they're all normal, but it is the way they portray or the way they educate you as a mother, bringing the child up. You might deviate from treating the child as a normal being, to be a special person. So I get what you said, Cindy. I get what you said. And can I ask another question?
Sure.
Okay. So this goes to Mr. Ofori. You mentioned that it could be a postnatal, or I can't remember the others. So it's underlying element.
Perinatal. So before, during, and after. So post,
Yeah.
prenatal, perinatal, and then the postnatal.
Yeah.
Before
Is
I
that
go on, before I go on,
underlying issue?
before I go on, Sini, I'm Sini. I'm always gonna give a joke to simmer down a thing a bit. Why are you wearing red and why are you not wearing blue? Mr. Ofari is wearing blue. He's wearing blue. Why aren't you wearing blue?
Okay, so I've not too long this evening come back from some football training with some of my youngsters. So I've got mindset, as you can see here. Mindset is football development that I have in Tower Hamlets, and we have young people from the ages of 3 to the age of 11 developing football as a catalyst.
Okay.
Okay. I never had time to get changed. Yeah, I never had time.
So, Mr. Ofari, right?
Yeah, sure.
My son with autism is 14 now. So he has a Ghanaian last name as well. Okay, his father is Ghanaian. But what I'm trying to ask you is this: I just wanted to put that out there to let you all know I have Ghanaian blood in my So let me ask you this, okay? Don't laugh at me, Cindy. So
Me?
this is what I want to ask. You said it was postnatal, perinatal, and prenatal, right? So
You are right.
there is what I think what I'm trying to ask is what coalition does ADD and ADHD have? Like, is there the word I'm trying to ask is trying to say it's not coming out of my brain, but I know what I want to ask. Like, do they connect? Is there a connection why if a child has autism will get ADHD? I mean, is there a connection based on your psychological opinion?
You see, one of the things we have to understand is that autism and all conditions of exceptionality are complex lifestyle disorder. So the complexities are born out of the fact that, in fact, let me use this question to answer or address a question that he asked in passing. So I wouldn't forget about that. Yeah, I was talking about the fact that doctors were saying do A, do B, do C, do D. Now, I want to use this opportunity to draw awareness to the fact that autism is a family disease. Maybe perhaps somebody may hear it from me for the first time. You'll be like, why? It is my son or my daughter who is autistic. I mean, how do I be affected? So technically, what we say is that the sick person, quote and unquote, is the afflicted person. And then we, the family members, we are the affected people or the significant others. We are the affected people. Now, family members are not spared from the devastating effect of autism. In other words, for example, within the Ghanaian and then African context, I'm not too sure about the UK, but I believe some individuals have a mindset that, look, people who are autistic, there could be some spiritual causalities, etc., etc. So you realize that there's this kind of social stigma, etc. I know that if any of us who have an opportunity, she may attest to the social stigma that she has encountered, or maybe yourself. When this happens, family members are also caught up in a certain shame, okay? And so that affects us psychologically. So the psychosomatic effect of autism, family members are not left out. We call them the codependent. Now, what I'm trying to say in response to what Ya even said earlier is that in inference, family members become sick, okay, as the autistic child. And so you realize that the whole family are caught up in a certain psychological disorder. So one of the critical areas we want to advocate, of course, myself, is that treatment must cover the significant others, or treatment must cover family members, just as we provide treatment for the sick person. When you take the sick person out of the system, out of the family, and then you take the person to any therapeutic center, any hospital, whatsoever, etc., without parents, without the support system, be part of the treatment, you are not doing the child any good, because the problem is in the family. The whole family becomes sick. So once you take the sick person out of the family, you take the person to treatment center and you bring the person back to the family, that is kind of restructuring itself. You realize that the problem will be there. So what we are trying to draw awareness is that parents, significant others, people who are living with autistic families, etc., must be involved. Okay, we need therapy ourselves. Part of our therapy could be cognitive. We need to be able to there's something we call triangulation. We need to be able to empower ourselves, differentiate ourselves, so that we could be in a better position to be able to support our autistic child. So back to you, Cindy. Autistic, like I said, is a complex lifestyle disorder. All the terminologies, all the stuff that we could say, they are intertwined or interwoven. You have this one play at one point, you have this one come in at another point. That is why treatment must be holistic. And when I talk about holistic treatment, normally I have coined the word W in front of the H. So whole and then holistic. So by that, we are saying that treatment must be physical, treatment must be psychological, treatment must be spiritual as well. And then treatment, if you like, must also be social. But most often than not, we realize that treatment has been individualistic. Treatment has been one-sided. we don't pay attention to other areas like spirituality. So typically, spirituality is about relationship. How do we ensure that we're able to even relate with ourselves well? How do we ensure that we're able to relate with the sick person? And how do we even ensure that we're able to relate with other people? Okay, so because of the complex nature of autism, one of the critical areas we have to look at as far as therapy or treatment is concerned is that treatment must be holistic. We should, if you are a Christian, it calls for prayer, it calls for believing the word of God, it calls for psychologists, it calls for autistic experts, it calls for serious education. When treatment becomes holistic, normally we would say biopsychosocial. So the treatment must be biological, treatment must be psychological, and treatment must be social. But we have limited treatment to more or less sometimes only psychological or more or less only medical. We take them to hospital very often, and then hardly do we even make arrangements for psychologists of exceptionality, okay, like myself, to have maybe interactions with our kids, etc., etc. So in response to your question, it's a complex disorder. You have all the terminologies intertwined, moving in a dialogue, okay, and therefore treatment must be holistic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do agree with you that the entire family has to play a part in that person's growth and that person's development, the person who has autism, because it affects the family on a large scale. Because I know with me, I am a single parent. And I've been a single parent from the time that my child has been 2 years old. And I and my older son, we had to take the mantle along with our people in our congregation who was starting to understand what autism was, to help bring that child up in a way that is going to be, I would say, conducive to understanding what his environment is, what he is going through, and to understand life as we know it as normal individuals. So, see, anything to add?
I agree with Crazy what he was saying, because over here in England, then it is, well, who I work with and the organizations I work with, it is a holistic approach. It is, whether you have psychologists, educational psychologists, drama therapists, speech and language therapists. The nature of my job, I bring all of those together to work with a young person that's autistic. So that's part of my role, is to identify what the issues are, who needs to be involved, and then I make arrangements to get them all involved so that they can plan for that young person. So normally you put together what we call EHCP plan, educational healthcare plan. So that then is given to any educational establishment that young person goes to, and that specifically states what needs to be in place for this young person to thrive, learn, and be engaged and get involved in their learning. So it is a matter of, we might have social services, we might have the doctor, we might have an educational psychologist. So that's what we try to do, is look at a holistic approach for the professionals that are coming in to work with that young person.
Thank you. And I like Mr. Ofa, I didn't ask you where you were calling from. Are you in Ghana?
Yes, at the moment I'm in Ghana. I'm in Accra.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know you were So let me ask you this. Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
Susie, before you ask your next question, because this is a big platform, I think fundamentally one of the issues we have to address or let people understand, appreciate, is the fact that autism is a disease, okay, and that people must learn to change their views and assumptions about people who are autistic.
I was going to ask you before I was going to ask you, what are some of the viewpoints you want the viewers to understand about autism, especially in Ghana? Because from my understanding, it is not that there's a big stigma in Ghana about autism.
Yes, it is a critical area that I think we need to advocate. You see, fundamentally, the views and assumptions we have about people determines how we help them, okay, and determines by extension how we support them. The views we have about people. Interestingly, you go to places even like hospital. I remember I was in the eastern region of Ghana a couple of weeks ago. I was supposed to take a sick grandmother to a certain physiotherapist, and then climbing the staircase was even a difficult thing. And this was somebody who is operating a medical center, but access to the facility was even a problem because we have not made provisions for it. So fundamentally, one of the critical areas that we need to understand is that there are exceptional individuals among us, okay, and that calls for an understanding, that calls for a conversation like we are doing. We need to appreciate the fact that autism, number one, like I said, is a disease, and that when people are autistic, over the years, we've had some primitive understanding. We think that these are folks or these are families who, some way or the other, have been bewitched, who have been influenced by some kind of demons, etc., etc. So we don't want to even eat with them, we don't want to interact with them, and that has affected significantly our performances relative to how we handle them. Okay, so our listeners this evening must appreciate, must take the message far, drop the message, preach the message out there. People must understand that autism is a disease, and that it has nothing to do with people being afflicted. In any case, how many of us are not even being afflicted by demons? All of us, one way or the other, are battling, demons, etc., etc. Yeah, so we need to change our mindset about people who are autistic, and by doing that, we are creating a community, okay, that can foster their recovery. We can create a loving community that could facilitate, that could enhance their healing just by the views that we have about them. That community of love, that community of hope would be created, and I tell you, it can really facilitate a lot of healing. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Go ahead, Sini.
Sir, sorry, sir. Was you saying that in Ghana they class autism as a disease, or is that's just some people's views? I didn't catch that properly.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to say is that, I mean, anecdotal evidence, like the broader general Ghanaian perspective, I know that in isolated cases, the awareness are still ongoing. But the general Ghanaian perspective, especially when you go to the rural areas of Ghana, is that most of these families and friends who are autistic are people who are being afflicted by demons. Okay, so we think that they are being manipulated by demons, they are being manipulated by some witchcraft activity, and because of that basic assumptions, people do not want to interact with them, people do not want to eat with them. We marginalize them, we push them away from social gatherings and communal gatherings, etc., etc. Yeah, so we need to champion, we need to advocate. I'm calling for strong advocacy for people to review their understanding, people to have a broader understanding about autistic. That when people are autistic, or except I wouldn't even want to say autistic because it connotes a certain kind of negative impression. I mean, so I would normally want to say exceptional individual. Yeah. So we should understand that exceptional individual.
I call it a different ability.
Excellent.
Yes, it's a different ability.
It's a different ability, and I hear what you're saying, and I think for definitely, I know definitely in the Caribbean, that a lot of people looked at exactly what you say, what you've been saying. Oh, if they're autistic, they've got some kind of illness, they've got some kind of disease, they're possessed. And it is about letting people understand that it doesn't mean you have an illness or disease. All it is your brain is wired differently. That's all it is. Your brain is wired differently in how you see things, how you perceive things, how you interact. So you're right. People do need to understand you're not going to touch somebody and catch an illness. You're not going to catch autism by touching somebody, by putting your arm around an autistic person. So it is about people understanding what autism is and how it affects that person's life.
And it starts with educating people. instead of
Definitely.
educating and bringing more awareness. I'm always saying this. Nothing is gained by being silent about the issues that are plaguing all of us. Nothing is gained. Sometimes we silent about, oh, my child, I don't want, my child has a disability, I want to hide him. I've heard really some parents have really been in denial that my child has autism, and they are hindering that child from their development and from their progress. As an advocate, I have had to literally sit parents down and tell them, look, this is what you need to do. If you do this, if you keep being denial, I understand it's something new for a lot of parents because it was new to me, but you have got to stand with your child. You got to be that child's voice. You got to be that child's, form of, livelihood to get ahead and to move ahead, because we cannot. The minute we start to say, okay, I don't think my child has autism, my family line doesn't have this, it's from demons, we are doing this children a big disservice. Not only children, the adults too, because a lot of adults living with autism and we do not know because they were not educated. The parents were not educated and they were not,
It,
taught.
it's still, even today, it's still the stigma. That's what it is. It's the stigma. Like you say, I don't want people to know that my child is different. I'm not going to treat my child differently because they got autism. That is a stigma there. And that's why at the moment there are, in England, it is a high proportion of adults are only recently being diagnosed. And exactly what you just said, Cindy, because 10, 15, 20 years ago, when they was growing up, nobody really knew, nobody fully understood what autism was, and they never looked into it, but they did not want the stigma, and that's the problem. People are too worried about what other people are going to think when you
And what they're
shouldn't
gonna
be.
say.
You shouldn't be. Autistic children that I've worked with have, I always say to them, you have a superpower that nobody else has. That's how I always say to them, you've got a superpower nobody else has. And you normally get high functioning autistic people. Richard Branson, okay, you know who Richard Branson is, owner of Virgin. That's an autistic person there, okay. So they left school with nothing. When he left school at 14, 15, started up his businesses. He's autistic. Look where he is now, one of the richest people in the world, owns Virgin. That's an autistic person. Johnny Depp, the actor.
Yep.
Okay, so there are autistic people that are surviving and adapt and can make a life for themselves. And there's a saying that there's a thing called savants. What we say that if that young person has a special gift, prime example, I'm going back to an old film called Rain Man. Okay, now in the film, Dustin Hoffman played autistic person, but their gift was numbers. They could work any kind of numbers, mathematics, everything. That's what we call savants, because you have that gift. Not everybody can do that.
I'm telling you, my child can decode any number. I have to hide my password. My child has decoded my phone so many times. I'm like, okay, I give up.
Put a fingerprint. Put your fingerprint lock on.
Yeah. Now you know what he does. He grabs my hand when he wants to he grabs my finger, put it on my phone. What are some of the challenges you have faced, as a parent? What are some of the things that you have heard parents say, and what are some of the things that you've heard being said about your child? I know it's a very
Okay.
but I need to ask because we need people to understand.
Yeah, I've had a lot of challenges, but before that, Cindy, Richard Branson, is he dyslexic or autistic? I thought it's a dyslexia.
He's autistic as well.
Okay. Oh, okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've had many challenges, but one of the challenges that I've recently encountered is that when you go out at the shop, and I love shopping with my son. So when I'm shopping and he's helping, sometimes he's all over the place and people will be, is he autistic? And I'm like, sometimes it really gets to you, like you really want to even, say something to the person because like, so what? That's one challenge. And another thing is that well, because we are like online, I wouldn't want to mention, but when you train him to do certain things, let's say you're doing potty train, he will get it. And then along the line, he will just change and then start doing things all over the place. Do you get it? So you intend to either put a nappy on him or, like follow him everywhere he goes. And he's also a fussy eater. So I have to make pack lunch. I have to carry food around. He eats like in certain places that you don't even expect him to eat. He will just want to eat. And yeah, it's just hard to calm him down in certain places as well. So there are so many challenges, but hey, as a parent, you just have to find a way to be happy and then carry on and help where you can.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of the things people used to tell me is like I'm carrying my whole luggage, I'm carrying my whole house in my bag. because because I've been having pampers, I've been having wipes, all kind of stuff, food and everything. Because you can never tell because my son, listen, Noah, he's 14 now. Now he can do a lot of things for himself. But when I had to potty train him, he was peeing my bed. I changed so many mattresses. Okay. I said, you know what? This is not working out for me. Okay, no. So I used to put him to bed at 8:30. I wake him up at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then when he goes back to sleep, I wake him up at 12 o'clock. And when he woke up at 12, I wake him up at 3 o'clock. You're not peeing on my bed anymore. So you know what happened? He got tired of that. He stopped peeing. He would hold up pee.
Yeah.
He woke up. So I do understand. I have had a lot of people look at me and say, your child is not brought up properly, and he has some behavior issues. They say so many things to me, and at one point it really got to me. But when I really got to understand autism and the backgrounds of what the children are sensitive to. My son, I don't know what, when we went to Walmart, I don't know what it was at Walmart, and up to this day I cannot figure it out. Every time we get into the parking lot at Walmart, his hands would go like this. And if I try to walk him in, the floor, he would have been a mop for the floor. He would not get up. He would throw himself down. And so I had to learn to just speak to him nicely, wait until he calms down. And people said the nastiest things to me. But it don't bother me anymore. Like you said, so what?
You're gonna get that. Oh, good. So so even when I take the young people that I have where I work, even when I take them out on a trip, and similar things will happen. We'll be on the train, and the same thing you just said about your son holding his ears. So we've got noise sensitive young people. So I always walk with what we call ear defenders, similar to headphones, and that helps reduce the noise for them. And I'll have people stop me or look at my pupils differently, and they'll ask the question, "Oh, are they autistic?" And I will always answer, "Yeah, but we're all a bit autistic." And then they don't know what to say. When I say that to them, they don't know what to say, because they're wondering whether to challenge me on, what do you mean we're all a bit autistic, or whether they're just going to take it. 9 times out of 10, they just take it, because we are all a bit autistic. All our brains are wired differently. And that's what it is. An autistic person, their brain is just wired differently. Simple as that. Yeah. Sorry.
Cindy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
The ear defensive thing, most autistic children has this sound sensory. So when you start putting the ear defensive thing on, don't you think at one point, or it's gonna be like part and parcel of them for the rest of their life? Because my son used to hold his ear all the time, but now I wanted to buy the ear defensive thing, but something just told me to just stop and let him grow out of it. And I think it's working. So I don't know. What do you think?
Again, each child will be different. Each child has their own mechanism. What works for one child may not necessarily work for another child. The fact that you haven't had to use ear defenders and it seems to be easing off is brilliant. I always say that one thing is about repetition, but then at the same time, you have to see how everything works. Whether if I have a child that's sensitive to noise, that's one of the mechanisms I might use. After 2-3 weeks, I might check it and say, well, you know what, that isn't working. I then have to find another strategy to work with. So it is about each child, each person is different. And like I said, what works for one may not necessarily work for the other. But that's great to hear that your son didn't need it, that you found a way of getting him to that point where he can accept the noise, he can be fine with the noise. Yeah, but that's good to hear.
And and you do, as a parent, you do what works for you. You do what works for you. I personally, I didn't like this thing. He didn't want it on his ears at all. So I said, okay, well, if you don't want it on your ears, let's see how you're gonna deal with it. And I allowed him to deal with it in his own way. You understand? And then right now he doesn't have a problem. In a matter of fact, he loves music now. Every day he plays music. He'll be jamming too. Yeah, let me say hello to our viewers. I'm sorry, my viewers. I have not given you all any love tonight. So we're going to give you all some love tonight. Okay?
That's terrible. You ain't giving no love out. Okay, viewers, I'm giving you love out there. Love is coming out to every one of you. Thank you for being here this evening. Much love, much respect around the globe.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Lauren Darville, good night. Linda Sime, she said, I appreciate this very much. Richie, good night. And there is somebody else watching on my phone. Cohen Kazme, Kelly Statenut is watching. So we have a few people watching that we cannot see. I cannot see, but a few people are watching. So continue. Let's continue for our discussion. Yes. So thank you, my viewers. I love you guys. I'm not living your life like this, okay? Mr. Ofari, it is. I'm telling you, it is. I didn't. When she told me that you were coming, psychologist, okay, we can work with it, okay? But it is so refreshing to hear that you are coming from Ghana, because I've heard that a lot of children are really at a disadvantage because of the stigma in Ghana. So my question to you would be, I'm sure that you are part of the community that is bringing awareness to autism. Am I right?
You are right. You are absolutely right. Now, I don't want this conversation to end without saying a word to our religious leaders, our pastors, okay, and our church leaders. Church leaders and pastors should understand that they are strategically positioned, because by virtue of the fact that they are pastors, and that the church is supposed to be a welcoming place for all people. But the sad thing is that I do not know, the church is in denial. Church members and pastors and leaders, with all respect to them, most of them do not even understand some of these topics. I may be very surprised if there is a church in Ghana, or maybe perhaps elsewhere, that has ministry for autism. I have never seen one. But I think that these are some of the pastoral ministries that the church should pay attention to. In the book of John chapter 17, I believe, 20 down there, Jesus will tell Peter that, look, Peter, do you love me? Take care of my sheep. So, do you love me? He said, take care of my flock. So taking care of the sheep of our Lord Jesus Christ is synonymous to showing him love. And by extension, individuals who are exceptional individuals, autistic as we will say, are all parts of the Lord's sheep. Okay, so church is about time that our church leaders, they have the numbers. I mean, on Sunday in Ghana, for example, we are told that about 70% of Ghanaians are Christians. So on Sunday, by nominal rule, you could have about 20 million or more people in church on Sunday. So I think that if our church leaders are empowered, if church leaders understand, they could be a channel of hope. They could be a channel of grace. They could do so much well as far as issues of autistic is. But interestingly, most of us as have bitter experiences in the church. I'm sure that maybe dear Yak would share an experience perhaps. Okay, I remember one day I was in the church and then this prophet was ministering. So there was this child I saw as autistic. Then he poured an anointing oil on the child ostensibly to cast out the demon or whatever. So the child began to react. And I knew as an expert that the child was not reacting because of a demon manifesting, etc. But the child was reacting because of the oil. The child was sensitive to the oil. Come and see the prayer, come and see the change, come and see the actions, etc. So it is a high time that ministries and church leaders and religious leaders should also be part and parcel of this conversation. People must understand, religious leaders must understand from this perspective that autism is a complex disease and that it is not all about prayer and it is not all about demonization, but it has also got something to do with medicine. It has also got something to do with counseling, and it has got something to do with experts. When we understand it this way.
Go ahead.
Somebody wants to put a point.
Okay. I was saying that, and it takes a village to raise a child. So we cannot be neglecting the children we think that are normal. We cannot be, taking care of those kids that we think that are normal, and those children who have that different ability, we cast them out at different things. Then that child is not going to be a productive member of society, and we need productive members of society. So it takes a village to raise any child.
Yes, I agree with you. Excellent. Yeah. So religious leaders, like I was saying, must be part of this conversation. They must understand the psychology of autism. They must understand the other aspects that perhaps they are not even aware. So that together we can create that. I am more particular and I am more passionate about creating that lovely environment, that loving community. Because I believe that a healthy system produces healthy individuals, and that a sick system produces a sick individual. So if you're able to create a very healthy environment, it will go a long way to provide support. It will go a long way to facilitate their healing. Yeah.
That is so true. Let me tell you something. These children are the most loving set of children that you are going to find. They are loving and they are loyal. Do you hear me? We as adults, we're not going to be as loyal as these kids. They are matter of fact and they are loyal. Don't try to make them lie. You're going to be in trouble. Because they will tell you as it is. If somebody hurt them, they're going to say, this person hurt my finger. Don't try to tell them. I remember when I hurt my child, I accidentally hurt my son's finger in the door and he cried. And then I said, no, what's wrong? He said, Mom, you hurt my finger in the door. And I was thinking that I did. But I didn't know I did, and it hurt me so much. But these children are the most loving set of children that you will find. They are loving, that they care about you, and they don't deserve to be treated out as outcasts at all. They deserve all the love and all the attention that is needed, the same way that a child without autism or without Asperger's or without any of these different abilities will be treated. They should be treated with the same respect as these children, with the love and care that is needed. I'm telling you guys, this is such a good topic. Listen, I was gonna do something crazy.
Go on, do something crazy. Do something crazy.
So let me ask you, what are some of the challenges that you have with your son with eating? Because I know you said your son was a very picky eater. So what are some of the things that he has challenges eating?
Well, initially, when you give him anything like African food, he wouldn't want it. He prefers like pasta, spaghetti, chicken nugget and chips. But now he is, like when you're eating and you sit in front of him, sometimes he wants to try. And when he tries and then he likes it, the next time he will want to eat some. So now he eats rice, he eats bread, garlic bread to be precise. He eats bread and that's about it. Yeah, but before it was just the chicken nugget and chips, and then in the morning he will have special K as a breakfast, and that's it. So now Yeah, he's eating more like lots of stuff now. Yeah.
Let me tell you, when I started, I was like losing my mind because
Mm-hmm.
my child wanted to eat just fruits, nothing
Mm-hmm.
but fruits. Then we
Yeah.
graduated to eating a little bit of hot dogs.
Yeah.
And now he has a problem with textures. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
he likes chicken. I got him to eat fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes like, if I don't make the chicken, if the chicken is not made the way that I make it, he don't want to eat.
I get you. I get you.
Yes.
My son is like that too. And sometimes he prefers certain people to make certain food for him. If the right person doesn't do the food, he wouldn't eat
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I don't know if I asked that question to you, Doctor. Is it psychologist, Mr. Akwesi? I call Mr. Akwesi. Yes.
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah, you are right. I think
So in your definition, for those who do not know, please help us understand. Give us your definition, the viewers. Tell the viewers the definition of autism. And I'm going to give senior chance to answer that as well. I like to hear different takes. So give us the definition of autism, and Mr. Akwesi.
oh, okay.
your line was breaking, so I didn't get you. Your line, I was breaking.
Oh, so I was asking you if you can give the viewers the definition of autism in your to help them understand what autism really is and why we're discussing that issue right now.
Oh, okay. So, like I said at the preliminary stage, autism is one of the exceptional conditions that, along the line, individuals find themselves in. And by that, we are saying that these are individuals whose physical, mental, or behavioral performance, okay, has some kind of deviation. And we are saying that that deviation could be so substantive in such a way that it requires additional support, okay, to be able to meet their needs. So the key word that we want to take home is that individuals with some physical, mental, or behavioral performance, okay, and these performances deviate. There's a deviation, and this deviation is substantive in such a way that it requires additional support to be able to help them meet their needs. Yeah.
Sini?
Okay. I would look at autism as being okay. As I said earlier, to me, autism is just somebody's brain wired differently. Okay. Now, within autism, that does mean that there may be problems with social interaction. There may be problems with social communication. There may be unwanted behaviors that result from this as well. Okay, so all it is finding it hard to understand what others are thinking and feeling. Some autistic children find it hard to have empathy with other people. They can't put themselves in that person's shoes. So if something goes wrong and somebody's upset, sometimes they can't see that. They can't read, just the same way you might be able to read somebody's facial expression, they can't read it as well. So they may be totally off the mark, thinking that what they're seeing is somebody actually just being upset. It may not be somebody being upset, that just may be how they are, but they can't pick that up. So for me, autism is about the neurological pathways within our brains that are just wired differently. That is how I see it. That is all it is. Yeah. And there's no reason why somebody cannot survive. If you're autistic, there's no reason why you can't live and enjoy a full life at all. And it is about people just understanding what autism is. to hear that people still think it's a disease is shocking, because it's not a disease. It's not like I've got a disease, but I can go to the doctor and the doctor's going to give me some pills or an injection to cure me. It's not like that. It's more complex than that. If it was that easy, don't you think that if they want to call it a disease, people would have been cured by now? So for when I hear that people still think it's a disease, it's madness. It's not a disease at all. It is just it's just a person's brain is thinking and wired differently to what we possibly call the norm. But then at the same time, what is the norm? That's how you got to look at what is the norm. Because society says this is how somebody should be. Is that the norm? So again, that's to me, that's how I see autism. I remember when I first started doing autism, I remember working, and there was a young person there that we, excuse my expression, but we called the person was a spitter. So you go to talk to them, they didn't like what you say, they start spitting at you. And I just remember it's happened to me once, and I just remember my line manager at the time telling me, if an autistic person spits at you, it means that they're trying to communicate and say something to you, and you have to think about what you've said or how you've approached them. And at the time, I was saying, no, I didn't really think of it like that. It's only later on, as I started working with more autistic children, things start to drop into place. And a lot of the time, it is a way of them communicating. Sometimes they can't find the words to communicate. Yeah. So they have to find a way, and that can come out in either them spitting at you, it can be them picking something to throw at you. And that's just a way of them communicating. And then it's learned. They have to learn as parent, as a professional, there's things that you need to teach that young person so that they can learn there's other ways of getting what they want without throwing something or spitting. Same with not somebody who's non-verbal. Again, many of the non-verbal young people that I've worked with, again, it's about repetition. I know that you don't want to speak, but I know you can speak, and I want to hear your voice. So there's strategies I will use that are deliberate to get you to actually come out. And literally every time we've used the strategies, it has happened with whether it's taken 1 week or 1 month, that your young person has come in one day and just started talking.
And I could relate to that so much, because I remember Noah was at one point, he was nonverbal. He was nonverbal at one point, and everything he wanted is to just take my hand and pull me to the refrigerator, pull me if he wanted to pull me to the bathroom. I'm going like, you're tired of pulling me, but anyway. So he used to pull me everywhere, and then I said, and I didn't want him to go to the refrigerator all the time to just take things, and he would not speak. That would deter him from learning how to speak. And so I started to say, you have got to use your words. If you want to eat, you're going to have to use your words, okay? So whatever little words that you know, I taught him, I would like grapes, please. Even if he said, I want grapes, but at least he said something to me. And that was how I got Noah to use his words, use them. I would use different strategies. And then I was working with autism specialists as well. So they taught us many things on how to, work with him. And the strategies, I hate to say that, but like I said, for nothing. But what you just said, it works.
Cindy, can I ask you a question? Did you use that? So you just use your mouth to communicate, and then he got it?
Yes. I would say, Lord, look at me. I want, what do you want? I said, okay. I put the grapes. I said, Noah, mommy, Noah said, Mom, you have to tell mommy, I want the grapes, or I want some grapes. And unless he said it to me, he go get the grapes. It was hard. My heart was breaking, but I had to be.
No, you have to. There's points like that where you have to give tough love.
Yes.
To get that end result. Because if you keep mollycoddling, they're not going to learn nothing.
Yeah,
Let me
but
tell you.
you know how the UK system is. You need to be nice, nice, nice.
Uh,
Oh,
uh,
but yes, I hear what you're saying, and this is okay. So I'm one of them I'm one of those workers that how I've been brought up is no, I don't mollycoddle, and I know that sometimes I've done all the nurture group, I've worked with them, and because of where and who I've had to work with, I've had to adjust to be that person. But in general, I play hardball because I
Mm,
want the results. I know you can do it. I know
yeah.
you can do it. And I want you to do it. So I'm happy to be patient. My mum gave me the greatest gift, patience of a saint. So I can be patient as all day long. Yeah. We want to play that game. We can do that. I can
mhm.
work like that. Yeah.
And
I
there
know
are
that I
times,
will get what I want.
yeah, and there are times, it would break my heart. Noah would throw things at me. He would get upset because he wants to verbalize what he wants to say. He wouldn't get upset at me, but it broke my heart. I'm telling you, my baby's crying. But you know what? I had to give him that tough love. I'm telling you now, yeah. Noah will tell you, I want my breakfast. He would now he goes and make his own pack his own snacks. He irons his clothes. He does so many things. He
Mm-hmm.
speaks to me in full sentences. Full sentences.
Okay.
And I'm gonna, ooh, that's my
That's great.
baby.
Well done.
And it was not easy. It's not going to be easy. I'm telling you, because you have to put your foot down, but the results are going to be worth it in the end. It's going to be worth it.
Can I just ask? Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
yeah, okay, sorry. If I pronounce it wrong,
Right,
slap me. If
right.
I pronounce
Yeah.
it wrong, just slap me. Okay.
Just yeah. Yeah. I think yeah.
Okay, so whereabouts are you based in England, London?
East London.
East London's big.
Yeah, in it.
Can you narrow it down a bit?
Yeah, Walthamstow.
Okay, so you're up north from me. I'm over by
Yeah.
Mile End. I'm down at Mile
Oh,
End.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I've lived in Whitechapel before. Yeah.
Okay. So we might
Yeah.
have crossed paths.
Probably.
maybe
Probably.
after, maybe after this, y'all can link up and talk more about autism stuff and how you can help each other out. Hey, he may,
Definitely.
yes,
Definitely.
yes. So, Mr. Ofari,
Yeah, Cindy.
I must tell you, I'm very inspired by what you're doing, speaking up about autism in Ghana, and I'm sure that you're not the only person who's right now putting a voice to this to bring more awareness, because I think it's needed. I think all children need that chance to prove who they are, no matter autism or not. And I'm thankful that you are taking up the mantle to educate and to bring more awareness. And I'm hoping that you are going to be able to bring more people on this show for the whole month, and maybe after the month is over, for us to hear other people's stories about autism and how we can help them to bring more advocacy to autism, because autism is the stigmatization of it is not as, I would say, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Autism can like stop saying Cindy, like Cindy said. I have to speak to myself. Children with autism can live a very normal life, a very fruitful life, if only we take the time out, like you said, Mr. Alfari, to give them that a wholesome, holistic approach. And the family has to be educated. They have to join in and don't cast them out. And that's the biggest thing for them. You alienate them, they are not going to amount to nothing if they don't have that support. If they don't have it, whether it be from the school, from the church, whether it be, they need to have that support. They need it.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing? What plans do you have right now to like you going to advocate, bring more advocacy on a wider scale in Ghana?
Well, okay, so I have a counseling institution called Care Institute. CARE is actually an acronym, and the full meaning is counseling, addiction recovery, and then empowerment. So at the moment, we are trying to put a team together we want to reach out to individuals through the religious organizations so that having empowered the family members, then the church could take over. We believe that the best way to reach to these people is through some organizations. So we've identified a couple of religious organizations that we want to work with. Yeah, so for me, much as we give attention to the afflicted people who we would say now autistics, significant attention should also be given to their family members, okay, whom we would describe as the affected people. Because if we are able to empower them, if they are in a better position, then they could also go have the strength, they could also have the energy to be able to support their sons, their daughters, their brothers and sisters who are afflicted. Because codependency is another complex disease altogether, where family members try to live their life around the person who is sick, so to speak, in this case, the autistic child. So you realize that for most family members who do not have the training, who have not been empowered, their life depends on how well their autistic child lives. So if today the autistic child is happy, you realize that the mother is also happy. If maybe the autistic child, is unhappy, you realize that it affects. So people are living their lives around some of these children. So we need to help people to adopt a more healthy approach. We need to help family members differentiate themselves, empower them, and this empowerment will come from understanding. Many family members are helpless because they don't even understand the psychology, they don't even understand the nitty-gritties of autistics. So I believe that much as we are giving attention to our friends who are afflicted, we should also pay significant attention to family members who are frustrated, who are depressed, who are caught up with the shame and denial. Many family members die before their autistic child because they are depressed, because they are perplexed, because they are confused, because of the shame. So you realize that many mothers, many breadwinners have died, leaving these poor children there. And one of the things I tell them when I get the opportunity is that, yes, we understand your situation, but one of the important ways of dealing with this situation is to take good care of your own self. Because if you're able to take good care of your own self, then you'll be in a better position to support your child. Your child needs you than anything. So, friends and families listening to us should get it that they should try and adopt a healthy lifestyle. Once in a while, you could take a vacation. You have to eat well. You have to exercise. Eat a lot of fruit. A lot of worrying and thinking will not solve the problem. If you have a problem, speak to a professional, and that would be help. But if you think that your situation is so bad, if you think that your situation is so cruel, so you think and you worry yourself and then you die, ask yourself who is going to take care of that child. Nobody can take care of the child better than you will do. So we are encouraging family members to take very good care of their emotional and then mental health. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you just hit the nail on the head. Because as caretakers, we need to take care of ourselves. One of my biggest fears, to be honest with you, is not dying. But the fact if I have to die and leave my autistic son behind, who's gonna take care of him? And these days, you know what's in this saying? Oh, I'm not dying yet. I have to take care of my Noah. Oh no, I'm not dying yet. Better stay away. Okay? Yeah, but that's one of my has been one of my biggest fears. If something happens to me now, is Noah in a position that he's gonna get the love that he needs to continue to grow and flourish? Okay, and then a lot of parents, like you said, we go through depression, we go through our stuff. But I remember when they gave me that diagnosis, said Noah has autism. My first question was, wait a minute, what's autism? And then I broke down. I cried for about 2 minutes. I'm going, oh my gosh, I don't know how am I going to do this. And my question to the psychologist was, how do we help Noah? How do we help him? And we need care ourselves, and we have to give ourselves that kind of attention. But we also mentally have got to understand, we have got to get ourselves in a mindset that I am going to do what I need to do for me to help that child grow. And that's the best thing I've ever done. I'm telling you myself, Ofari, I hadn't taken a vacation in a long time, and it was on me. I was the mother. Well, I'm still the mother, and I'm still the father. You understand? From 8 years old to 14 years old, it has only been me and my, of course, my older son. And now I have people around. He has people around. You have the teachers who I'm working with closely in the school. But it has been a really difficult number of years, and I'm thankful that I was able to get out of my own head very quickly to be able to take care of myself so that I can take care of myself. Listen, we can go on and on and on tonight, but let me tell you all, it was such a pleasure to have all of you here, and I'm hoping that y'all can come back again. Okay, Miss Alfaro, you gonna come back?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Cindy, and then I'll be back.
Cindy, you gonna be back?
No, I'm not coming back. Never, ever, ever. Of course I'm coming back. What do you mean? You answer me that question. What's up with you?
How about you, yeah? And I need the viewers, for those of you watching live and for those of you who are going to watch this replay. First of all, I want to ask you, my guests, to share this live, send it to your friends, tag your friends, share this live, because there was so many good information that came out of this live tonight. You understand? So share it. My viewers, I need you to share this. People all over Europe, Ghana, Nigeria, all of these places, we need to understand autism, and it is not demonic. Okay, we have children with special abilities. Okay, all right. So I would like to say thank you guys so much for being on here. It was a pleasure, and I would love to have you back again. This whole month I'm dealing with autism. So if you know anybody who wants to talk, oh my gosh, she's here. So if So if I know anybody who wants to talk about autism, who wants to bring their story out there, and maybe a speech therapist or somebody who knows, can benefit and can give us another, insight in another way, about autism, refer them to me. Sini, I'm leaving that up to you too. Mr. Ovari, where are you? Yeah.
Yeah, Cindy.
This is the first show, and I think we did an amazing job. So you guys I am really, really thankful for you guys being on and taking the time out. We over an hour, and we could have gone more, but guess what, guys? I have another show. But I'm gonna say thank you again. The bottom line.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Absolutely, Ms. Safari. The bottom line is autism is not demonic. It is not that. It's a child that is wired differently. You understand? A child who needs love like everybody else. A child who's going to understand things in a different way. And who needs care and attention, and who needs you as an adult, whether it be a church leader, whether it be a mom, or just somebody in the community. We need to be patient with these children. And that's one of the things I've learned with my son more than anything else is patience. My grandmother used to tell me, Cindy, you have patience to feed a red ant with a spoon. First of all, I asked her, what are you talking about? I knew that I was a patient person, but when that child was diagnosed with autism, I understood what she meant by patience. Because I had to... It was a whole broader spectrum of being patient. Okay. Well, guys, listen, thank you so much for being here. And I will talk to you soon. Guys, listen, I always say, do not tap out. I'm going to leave the other one for another show, but I'm going to tell you all, as parents with autism, as educators, counselors, whatever, do not tap out. Do not give up on your children. Okay. Do not give up on these people in the community, even the adults who have autism. Do not give up on them, because great things can come from them. Okay. I love you guys. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Mr. Ofari,
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And give your love to your sons. Give your love to the family. And Mr. Ofari, I'm gonna be checking you
Yes,
later.
indeed.
We have to talk. Okay. Okay.
Sure, very well, sure. I'll be expecting your call, sure.
I'm just saying in Ghanaian, frame.
I frame it.
Yes.
Yeah, frame it.
All right, guys, have a good night. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. For my viewers, thank you. We'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in about an hour 50 minutes. Okay, bye.
See you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.